Nun, Rashei Matos. Minira, it seems that the heads of the tribes, Himamochin Shelavav Ksavus Akfulim, they are the brains of the 6 sides that are doubled. Vaydaber Moshe Rashei Matos, and that's what it means that Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes of Israel, to the sons of Israel. And what did he bring down? That there should be a strength to each and every one of Israel, with the concept of the vows in Parshas Matos here, to push and to flip over, like we said before. And we can say, that the 12 tribes are the 12 boundaries of the diagonals, Yud Beis Tzirufei Havaya, which are also the 12 combinations of the letters of Hashem's name. Kenegdam Yud Beis Chodashim, and corresponding with that you have the 12 months of the year. Moshe Yisod Abba Mamshich El Rashei Matos, and Moshe, who is Yisod Abba, the foundation of the father, draws down into the heads of the tribe, which are we said the heads of the tribes are the avos, or into the months, al derech midei chodesh bechodsho, or like the idea of each month in its month. Shnisbor b'dibor hamaschil vaya midei chodesh chulu, that we explained in the Mamar about how in each month and so forth. Shalomar. And we can say Yud Gimel Midos Arich Anpin. That's the 13 attributes of mercy of Arich. Or Al Kol Panim Vav Ksavos de Abba, or at least the 6 sides of Abba. Mikor Haischadshus, which is the source of renewal. So if you're not drawing down from Arich, at least you're drawing down from Abba. Ve'inyan Amshachazu, and this idea of drawing down from Yisod Abba into the months, into the Yud Beis, Zehu Amshach Ma'amidos Shelamayla Ma'aseichel. It's an idea of drawing down from the emotional attributes that are higher than intellect. Bechinas Reusa Deliba, the idea of the desire of the heart. Behamidos Shelamata Ma'aseichel, to draw them down into the emotions that are below intellect. Moshe Kasub Dibur Hamaschil V'Yakel Moshe, like it's brought in V'Yakel Moshe. Rashi Matos Ishlomal Derech Rashi Chodashim, and the heads of the tribes, we can say they correspond with like the heads of the months. Asherosh Chodesh Kol Kol Chayos Osua Chodesh, that the head of the month includes in it the life force for that entire month. Kamo Rosh Hashanah Kol Chayos Osua Hashanah, just like Rosh Hashanah includes in it all the life force for that entire year. Dugmas Harosh Umochin Sheba Adam, just like the head and the brains in the person, Shikolim Chayos Kol Ramachi Vari Haguf, that include in them the life force for all the 248 limbs of the body. V'gam hinei muvor b'lekutei Torah b'dibur hamaschil v'haya midei chodesh b'chodsho shebechol rosh chodesh mekabel hadibur mechachma u'bina shelo al yedei hamidos, that each Rosh Chodesh it receives from the speech, from Chachma and Bina, not through the midos. It's receiving straight from Chachma. So there's a direct hamshacha to the Rosh Chodesh from Chachma. Ki hadibur mekabel me'amidos, because speech in general receives from the midos. Achlafamim u'mekabel ma'aseichel atzmo, but at times dibur receives directly from intellect, shlo al yedei amidos, not through the emotions, not through the emotional attributes. So Moshe, what it says, he was zochel dibur, so you have shacha from chachma yisod abba directly into the speech, like shchinam in the beres mentoch grono. V'zeu shebemus after Rosh Chodesh nemar v'nisko lashon zachar, and that's why it says, and we say in Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, and its libations in the masculine, v'niska, not its libations in the feminine. nisko and not niskash, as ein hadibur tafel midos. It's because then the speech is not secondary to the emotions. And look what's brought in the siddur about this. And that's the same idea how Moshe spoke. Shuhu chachma bina, which corresponds with wisdom and understanding. Moshe gematria kuf pedalad kuf samech aleph. Shuhu chachma bina, because Moshe is the gematria of names of Hashem, which are spelled out as they come out to Gematria 184 and 161, which correspond with Chochmah Bina. El Rashei Matos, to the heads of the tribes, Shem Yud Beis, Rashei Chodashim. So it could be Shem Eya with Yuds and Eya with Alephes, which are the Levushim for Shem Av and Shem Sag. So El Rashei Matos, so Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes, Shem Yud Beis Rashei Chodashim, which are the 12 heads of the months. Sh'az Meir B'Hadibur Elyon B'Chinas Chachma Bina Chulu, and then shines into speech the concept of wisdom and understanding. V'zeu lemor zeh hadavar, and that's what it means to say, this is the thing. Sh'al yidei zeh hadibur b'B'chinas zeh, and through this, the speech is in the concept of this, of the idea of zeh, through drawing down the samshacha into the heads of the months. V'gam zeh minyan yud beis, and also zeh is gematria 12. Yud beis Rashei Hamatos, which corresponds with these 12 heads of the tribes. V'chein yud beis Rashei Chodashim Chuvechulu, and so too the 12 heads of the months and so forth. Vayim b'Zohar Parshas Pinchas Tafresh Nun Gimel al pasuk she'arim Rashechem u'bekisvei Arizal pasuk man b'minachal b'derech yishtel kin yarim rosh. And look what's brought in Zohar about lift up your gates, that the heads should lift up their gates, that the gates should lift up their heads, and also when what the Arizal says in the verse, that you'll drink from the stream on the way, and therefore you'll lift up the head. So both of these are ideas of lifting up the head. Shezir ampin hu b'chinas os vav. What does the Arizal say? That za is like the letter vav. Ukishehu b'chinas vav tzavos. And when it's only 6 sides, hareze os vav katan, then it's a small vav. Achal yedei minachal baderech ishteh, but through the idea of drinking from the stream, minachal yishteh yisodima, achal yedei minachal yishteh yisodima, which is the concept of the foundation of the mother. Yisod ravima yarim rosh, it lifts up the head. So that's the concept of the nachal that will bring up the vav tzavos from ima sheish yud b'rosho, that it has a yud at its head, which is the concept of Yisod. V'zeu gam ken inyan Rashei Matos. So because you have a concept of Yud, so it elevates the Rosh of Za. V'zeu gam ken inyan Rashei Matos. It's also the concept of the heads of the tribes. Ki os vav nikra mata, because the letter vav is also called a staff. Ukeshinim shach mochin b'havav. When you draw down intellect and the mind into the vav nikra rosh, so it's called the head of the vav. V'zeu Rashei Matos, and that's the heads of the of the tribes, the heads of the vavs, the heads of the staffs. And this kind of drawing down is the idea of who the me created Eila. which is Bina, which is me, created Elu, which is Lamed Vav, the Shisha Midos. Kaful. 6 times 6 is 36. If Shalom Rashi Matos Kemo Shorsha de Ilana. And we can say that the heads of the tribes are like the roots of the tree. Because the tribes are called the tribes of Yud-K, of Hashem, Imkein Shorsham Baba Ve'ima. So the source is in the mother and the father, Yud-K, which is Chochmah Bina. Mitzarech Iyun, B'mikdash Melech, U'baramaz Parshas Bamidbar, this needs to be looked into in the Meforshei Azor, Mikdash Melech and the Ramaz. Exactly how this works. Look what's brought in the Mamar about you have the Korban Olah that's from Har Sinai, with the idea that Yisrael is tied to the Torah. Yisrael lirosh, because Yisrael is a head for me. Zeu moch in the Zeranpin. That's the head of Zeranpin. That Yisrael is the head. Miskashram be'oraisa, Chochmah Bina Elain. They're tied to the Torah, which is the supernal wisdom and understanding of Shiur Ein Sof, Shora be'Chochmah Elah, that the infinite light rests in the supernal wisdom. Zeu be'oraisa v'kutchebrichu. And that's the idea of how the Torah is tied to the Holy One Blessed be He. The Yisrael are tied to the Torah, which is Chachma, and or Ein Sof is Shor in Chachma, which is the Torah in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And similarly, we can explain the idea of Vaydaber Moshe Rashei Matos. Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes. Ki Matos hem Yud Beis Gvulei Alachson de Ziranpin. That the Matos are the 12 diagonals of Za. Rashi and Matos Yishlafarish Gamkin Amochin de Za, and the heads of the tribes you can also say is the heads, the Mochin of Ziranpin. Vehemiskashram Bechachmei Law, and they're tied to supernal wisdom. That's Moshe. Vidaber Moshe, so Daber Chachmei Law El Rashi and Matos, to the heads of the tribes. So that's the connection of Yisrael, of the Shvatim, which are the Shorosh of Yisrael, and even the heads of the Shvatim, they're all tied to Chochmah Elah. That's Yisrael Miskashram Be'oraisa. And Moshe, it corresponds with this idea of Chochmah Elah, of Yisod Abba, Rashi Matos, to the heads of the tribes, Mochin Deza Chulu, which is the Mochin of Ziranpin. And through that, we're connected to the Shechina, which is Shora, which is the Kutchebrichu, that's Shora in the Chachma. Raisa Kutchebrichu. Ketzer, Rashi and Matos, we explain the idea of the heads of the tribes, because the forefathers are the supernal chariot Chagas, which is Chassid Gvur Tiferes, Yud Beis Gvuli Alachson, and the 12 boundaries of diagonals, Hem Yud Beis Matos, the Atzilus, which are the 12 staffs, the leanings of Atzilus, V'mischalkim l'shivim nefesh, and they divide into 70 soul, V'shishim ribo, and 600,000 V'yeshud Beis Shvatim, and there's 12 tribes, the Bria, Yud Beis Chodashim, and 12 months, Rashi Matos, and the heads of the tribes, Kemo Yud Beis Rashei Chodashim, which are like the 12 heads of the months. Vaydaber Moshe, and Moshe spoke, Shemamshich Behema Ohr Hatorah. Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes, that he's bringing down into them the light of wisdom, to have the strength to push down and to flip over the Sitra Achra. Each month in its month, and we talked about how they have this idea of Al Minach Derech Ishter from the Arizal, that from the river of Bina, therefore you'll lift the head. You're going to bring up and elevate the souls of Israel as they are the the Rosh, which is the Rashi and Matos, I guess, the source of the Shvatim, the source of the Matos, the Rashi and Matos. You're going to lift up their heads upwards and to be connected to be, because Yisrael is Kashram Be'oraisa Be'oraisa B'Kut Shebrichu.